Hi, it's Steve, that HOA guy. I'm here again to do a short video on code of ethics. If you're thinking about being on a board or you're already a director on a board, um, one of the first things many new board members are confronted with is they're presented with a code of ethics that they're asked to sign. Please don't do that. Let's not start off on the wrong foot from day one. I'm going to show you why it's a bad idea to have or sign a code of ethics for directors. So let's get right to it. So we're going to go first to the various state laws that come into play. So for homeowners associations that would apply, let's say to Klahanie, it's RCW 6438. The sub statute is 025, and I've highlighted item 2 for you. It says the board of directors shall not act on behalf of the association to amend the articles of incorporation, to take any action that requires the vote or approval of the owners, to terminate the association, to elect members of the board of directors, and here's where the main point comes in that I want to point out, or to determine the qualifications, powers, and duties or terms of office of members of the board of directors. But the board of directors may fill vacancies in its membership of the unexpired portion of any term. So the main point when it comes to a code of ethics is the board of directors shall not act on behalf of the association to determine the qualifications, powers, and duties of members of the board of directors. So when you present a code of ethics and you say you need to sign this to continue on as a director on this board, you're changing the qualifications of what it means. So let's see what the Klahanie Association bylaws say about the duties of a director. It says under 4.7 of the bylaws, the board and its directors shall act in all instances on behalf of the association. A director shall perform his or her duties, including the duties as a member of any committee of the board upon which the director may serve, in good faith, in a manner such director believes to be in the best interest of the association, and with such care, including reasonable inquiry, as an ordinarily prudent person in a like position would use under similar circumstances. So it's pretty broad, but it basically says do your best to act in the best interest of your association, not for yourself. Then there's a very similar statute under RCW 2403. It's section 127, duties of a director. This is for a nonprofit corporation, which Klahanie is. And it's almost verbatim. A director shall perform the duties of a director, including the duties as a member of any committee of the board upon which the director may serve, in good faith, in a manner such director believes to be in the best interest of the corporation, and with such care, including reasonable inquiry, as an ordinarily prudent person in a like position would use under similar circumstances. Um, and then it says you're entitled to rely on experts and outside counsel brought in to guide you and things like that. But as long as you're acting in good faith and you're making reasonable inquiry, you're not just believing anything that you're told. As long as you're acting in good faith on behalf of the association and not in self-interest, you are probably within the statute just fine. And that nonprofit statute 2403.127 is one of those that it comes from. So you can see that it's already in the statutes. It's very well delineated. You don't want, as a board, to pass a code of ethics that applies to the board, because if you apply it to the board, you're then in conflict with the state law that says you're not going to make anything like that a qualification. Now, where a code of ethics is a good idea is for members or chairs that are not board members who are serving on a committee, or for employees that are not, well, obviously an employee wouldn't be a board member because that's a conflict all on its own. But if you have employees and you want them to adhere to a certain code of ethics, you can make that part of the employment agreement. And if you have volunteers that are on committees, they're not elected board members, they're appointed by the board, and they can be subject to a code of ethics as long as they're not elected board members that are serving on that committee. Uh, the board members themselves have that duty to disclose conflicts of interest or potential conflicts of interest, and to make full disclosure and act in the best interest. They have a duty that is outlined in the statutes. The board shouldn't then try to add another qualification and say, I want you to sign this code of ethics. It makes you look like you're maybe, oh, I don't want to sign something that says I'll promise to be ethical. No, I don't want to break the law. My first step out of the gate as a new board member by making or trying to change the qualifications or duties of a director. And that's what they're doing. On another note, I will tell you that my experience, I've served on many boards, is that sometimes there's a board that has one or two really strong members, and they want to control the direction of the board, and they don't like dissent. And so the common one that I try to explain where this would come into a problem would be, is I've seen a board that would pass a code of ethics that says, once the board has acted on a matter, individual board members cannot express an opinion contrary to the action of the board to the general membership. They don't want dissent. They don't want, if the board voted, and let's say it's a 7-member board, and it goes 4-3 to let's say fire the manager and hire a new manager. It's 4-3, and so you voted to fire him. Then the individual board members, those 3 that voted against that, get back to their particular membership, and they're stopped at the grocery store, on the street, or just in casual conversation. They're saying, well, why did the board fire our last manager? And according to the code of ethics that they've now passed, you can't express an opinion that says, I don't think the manager should have been fired. And you can't drum up support to get that decision reversed. If it's a firing, I guess that's kind of hard to reverse. But if it was something else, like we're going to spend millions of dollars on a new office building, and if that passed and there was a dissenting member, they may want to go out and drum up support for their position, even though it lost. And they often will put things like that in a code of ethics to try to stifle any contrarian opinion or anybody who's dissenting from putting that dissent out in the community to try to garner support for the other side. So it's very much of a power move when it's used in practice. There's absolutely nothing by not signing a code of ethics that a board member should do that's not ethical. There are ethical requirements in the statute, as you saw. And so you don't need another one. You definitely don't need one created by your board. And you're still held to a high standard on your behavior. So that's why you shouldn't sign a code of ethics. You don't want to pass a code of ethics unless it applies only to people who are not board members. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. If you have any questions or a subject you'd like to see me cover, drop me a line. I'd be happy to help. Thanks.